What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and welcome back to Pokemon Week. I have an interesting proposition for you today. So it is October, Spooky Month, first Pokemon Week of Spooky Month, and I thought that it would be interesting to do some more Fakemon, specifically based off of cryptids. Now, if you don't know for some reason, cryptids are essentially like modern folklore, I think is the best way to put them as, right? Things that haven't fully been like put into the annals of myth, right? They aren't things that people are like, oh, it's whatever. It either existed a long time ago or people thought it existed a long time ago. This is stuff that is, I think, relatively still like in some degree of modern modern superstition. As well as that, also creatures that may or may not, like, exist. That we still believe may or may not exist, right? So there are some that are, like, extinct animals that might still be around and stuff like that. Like, that's a whole other argument. And there's cryptozoology and creatures that could very well be existing animals that we just don't know about, you know? There's a whole, like, the whole thing with river monsters or whatever, where it was like a majority of them turned out to be quite like formidable creatures, some of which maybe we thought were extinct that did actually exist. It's just like the water is a scary place. So, you know, there's some degree of believability there. We're probably focusing mainly on folklore today. We're going to be trying to avoid any Native American creatures whose names should not be pronounced, but I do have the Cryptid Wiki up with me today, and we are going to be doing something maybe a little bit convoluted because I couldn't find a random generator that I liked. But what we're going to be doing is there are 28 categories here. Obviously 26 for each letter of the alphabet. Then we have numbers, which just appear to be these two on 5. And I figured that we would roll between the categories and then roll between the number, that's a lot in A, roll between the number of entries that are in a single letter, as opposed to trying to count up between like 1 and 1,856 as there are items in this wiki. So and the fun thing is that there are articles so that we can learn about them together. And I thought that that was interesting, especially because I probably wouldn't know many of these by name. So at that, let's just jump right in and see if we can get our probably 3 creatures out of this, and then we will make them into Fakemon. Because most Pokemon are based off of legend either anyway. Like sometimes they're based off of living creatures, but a lot of the time they're also based off of folklore. A lot of early Pokemon are based off of yokai, which are Japanese specific folklore. And I think there are a lot of yokai in here because they still kind of exist in the public zeitgeist of Japan. And let's just roll our first category, our first number letter, and a boop. 8. Okay, so number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G. So click on G. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 79, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 30, 31. 131. Okay. 131 G's. Let's generate our number between these. A boop. Give me a low number. Nope, 84. Okay. Let's see if we can't do this a bit more quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 3, 4, 5, 30, 5, 35, 5, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 45. 1, 2, 5, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 45. 1, 3, 4, 5, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 55. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 65. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 75. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 80. What was the random number again? 84. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Glowicus. Open link in new tab. Okay. Oh, he's so goofy. The Glowicus is a creature seen in Glastonbury CT. I think that's an American state. Is that Connecticut? Regardless, seen in Glastonbury CT, in the traditions of lumberjacks, latter incidents, it is reported to have attacked livestock. It is said to be a bear. It is said to bear a strong resemblance between a cross to a cross between a bear, panther, and lion. Caused dogs, cats, and small farm animals to disappear. As the sightings grew in number, so did a variety of descriptions. First, it was a huge cat. Some people reported it looked like a dog with a cat in the front. Some people saw it vice versa. One man said to call they'd seen a big animal in the pitch dark with eyes that glowed like embers. Clear to us that this was weird. Unknown animals need a name. One editor coined the word glaucus, Gla for Glastonbury, whack for wacky, and us for the for proper Latin ending. It caught on like magic. So, okay, this is an interesting critter. It even has something akin to a Pokemon card in MetaZoo. Interesting. Okay, so that is our first beastie, which does feel like it would very much suit Pokemon. Let us move to our next adventure here. Let's go back to the beginning. Back to our initial 28. And generate. Give me something small. No, 20. Okay. Let's see. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. What was it again? 20. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. That's easier. Okay. S. In the S category, I think there are going to be a lot of them. 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 110, 115, 120, 125, 130, 105, 140, 145, 150. 150 even. Okay, good. 150 S's. Let's generate a boop. Small number. 132. Well, I can always go backwards. So this is 150, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32. Thrayuda. Open link in new tab. A Thrayuda is a mythological creature from Jepara, Central Java. Believed to be real by Jepara people only through folklore, but many of them have also seen some sightings of the creature. Described as having a long snake-like body, face of a human, sometimes colored red, green, or black. According to local people, Thrayuda is often sighted in a river. According to myth, Thrayuda has also been an omen of river flood. Interesting. Okay, so yeah. Beastie, snake with a human face. This is a little bit more... What's the snake people term? I forget. But that's a little bit more like that than necessarily a snake with a human face. But it seems to be depicted with arms a lot. So that's interesting. Maybe I can look up more about this as well. So, we got our second creature. Again, seems pretty well suited to Pokemon. Probably is something a little bit more, like, more stylized, obviously. So, interesting. So that's 2 out of 3 of our creatures. One more song and dance about this. This will probably be sped up for you guys, so it'll be fine, but I've been here for like 20 minutes. Alright, so back to our original 28. Generate. 19, 17, 18, 19. R. I feel like R is going to have a lot of it as well. Okay, let's start with our counting and see how many we have. I wish that it would just tell you how many items there were on the page. Oh, there aren't that many here. But let's go then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 1, 2, 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. 40. 41. Okay. So there are only 41 entries in R. And generate. 7. Easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just as I was getting used to it, we have an easy one. the Rat Man of South End, a local legend originating in the town Southend-on-Sea, Essex, centering around an underpass. The legend has two main variants, a mutant child and a homeless ghost. The commonality between the two being the presence of a rat-like creature who appears in the pedestrian walkways at night. Common story told of the Rat Man involves a homeless old man who used the underpass to escape from the rain and the cold nights. He was old and barely able to walk. One night, a group of teenagers beat him half to death and stole his blanket. Dying from his injuries in the biting cold, he succumbed to hypothermia. His stiffening corpse nibbled and gnawed on by numerous vermin. Some people say that he was still alive while being gnawed. Soon after, locals reported odd noises, highly pitched screaming, the sounds of nails dragging along the walls. Further evidence was a real ghost or overactive imagination. The fact remains that this story and subsequent noise led to locals dubbing the creature the Rat Man of Southend. The other version is far more fanciful and seemed to emerge from schoolyard folklore, a tale passed between children to frighten and unnerve their classmates. This version, the Rat Man is no longer a ghost, but a real creature. Runs that the mayor of the town was a known adulterer and eventually cursed for his infidelity in the form of a grotesque child, a baby with an elongated snout and worm-like tail of a rat. The child grew and developed a taste for flesh, because of course it did. Seeking a solution for his problem, the mayor had the underpass constructed with a concealed entrance to a chamber within his monstrous offspring might hide, only to emerge at night to indulge its hunger. I love this. Okay, Rat Man. So this one is a little bit, I think, more difficult to immediately turn into a Pokemon, but there is some potential there, I feel. So I think that I am going to maybe try and do a little bit more research and leave this here with my articles. Again, we had the Glaucus, which again seems very Pokemon-like. The Srayura, which seems moderately Pokemon-like, and the Ratman, which seems like a rat and a man, so a little bit more difficult, but interesting. And I could see this being like a ghost type, so that gives me a good base for inspiration. But I will pop this over to Speedpaint VoiceOver and show you what I came up with from these goofy creatures, so I will see y'all there. Okay, first up is the Glowacus. I figured pretty early on that anything with wacky in its naming scheme is probably going to stay pretty goofy in Pokemon terms. While doing some further research about this creature, I learned that people often describe feeling disoriented after looking in its eyes, so I thought this would be a good candidate for a secondary psychic typing. I also realized the name for the Pokemon version could include Claw, especially because bears have some pretty scary long claws, which to me kind of rings well with the Steel type. I figured along with referencing the name of the cryptid, the name could be made to look just like claw plus whack, so I made it that this Pokemon can ball up its fists to create a blunt object or open them to use its claws. I also read that it has very sensitive hearing despite being blind, so I amped up the size of the ears and made them sort of shadow the top half of the face and the eyes to kind of obscure them. The resulting design looks a little bit more canid and almost like a hyena, which was how the Glowacus's cry is described. I considered giving it leopard-like spots, but it just felt like there were too many aspects going on in the design, so I stuck with a few solid spots instead. I named this Pokemon Clawwhack for the reasons I already mentioned, leaving off the Latin us for a bit more of a difference from the cryptid. Clawwhack is a mysterious Pokemon. Not much is known about it because attempts to study it in the wild have led to professors and trainers alike being instantly disoriented by its eyes. Upon first inspection, it does hide them, but if it gets irritated, Clawwhack will resort to its fierce glare. That isn't its only defense either. It carries around massive metallic claws that it regularly sharpens. It will use its psychic power to curl up or force open the claws to use as either a slashing or bludgeoning tool. It cannot see, but its extrasensory abilities allow it to navigate like any other Pokemon. Next up is Srayuda. I wasn't able to find much on this creature outside of the wiki I used. The only other source I found was a very short Wikipedia article that was only in Indonesian, which makes sense because that's where Java and Jepara are, but even translated, the page doesn't offer much more information. Basically the same info. It's mostly considered ancestral folklore, but a few people have reported seeing it in the river since. That's about it. Though there are a few human-like Pokemon, I thought an interesting interpretation of the human face might be some sort of mask imitating one. I also went for a sort of mermaid-like body with legs in the front, and I tried to take some inspiration from some Indonesian and/or Havanese headwear I saw during my research, so it has sort of a crown coming out of the back of its head and some spines going down it. Given this creature is reportedly some sort of water snake, I made it a primary water type and decided a poison secondary type would make sense. For the name adaptation, I finally landed on Sprayuda, a combination of spray and obviously Srayuda. Sprayuda is often decried the cause of any water-related issues in its territory. It hides its face and imitates humans drowning to draw attention to itself, or visibly sprays its poison in the water to make people and Pokemon sick. More often than not, however, this activity preludes some natural disasters like floods and blights, and some are beginning to wonder if the Pokemon isn't causing these, as ancient societies once believed, but trying to warn those nearby by mimicking coming events to the best of its ability. Pretending to drown to allude to a coming flood, and poisoning water to either draw residents away or warn of existing or upcoming problems with water supplies. It is fiercely territorial, but seems to consider all near humans and Pokemon that are not other rogue Sprayuda as part of its territory, so it makes sense as to why it might try to warn them of any coming events. And finally, we have the Ratman of South End. This was, despite its kind of general nature, the design that came to me the fastest of all three. I immediately had like a vision of a ghost type that was just multiple rats in a trench coat. It kind of combines the original concept with the Rat King in a way. This is like Mousehold, but worse. Or better, depending on your taste. I went for this vibe of the rats clearly trying to look like some sort of spooky ghost man, but not quite succeeding. They're all topsy-turvy, and the other rats are clearly looking out of the inside of the coat. It's just super silly and cartoony, but I would honestly love this kind of Pokemon. Ghost types are tricksters, it just makes sense. Since any variation of Ratman is kind of bland, I named this Pokemon Ratscallion instead, playing on Rapscallion, which is just an old-fashioned term for a mischievous person. Ratscallion is a colony-type Pokemon, made of the ghosts of several rat-like Pokemon who decided to team up and occupy a single coat. Ratscallion seems to do this as a means of either scaring off humans from its territory, or attempting to trick them into letting it in. Obviously, it does terribly, but some humans will still allow Ratscallion inside because its actions trying to imitate a human are entertaining. Some report having experiences in which Ratscallion was able to disguise itself more competently, resulted in what appeared to be a wayward traveler turning into a pile of ghostly rats and running off with stolen food in the morning. When it's defeated or believes itself to be revealed, Ratscallion will scatter into its individual parts, with the head rat dragging its coat and hat behind it. And those are all my Fakemon for this week. This was super fun. I love learning about weird folklore stuff, and of course, the design process is always fun here. I essentially got to do two of my favorite things today. Gotta streamline the randomizer bit, though. Maybe I can make another wheel of links. Regardless, I hope that you like this new-ish approach and the resulting Fakemon. Which is your favorite? I think it's still Ratscallion for me, honestly, but Clawhack is pretty high up there. Let me know what other art challenges you'd like to see me do in the future, Pokemon or otherwise, and at that, I will leave this here, and I'll see y'all next time.